What's going on, film fans? Welcome back to our channel. This is The Usual Skeptics. Here we talk about movie reviews, entertainment news, streaming, all that kind of good stuff. My name's Gabriel, and this is Wes Rathbone. How are you doing, buddy, after watching The Boys? How are you, man?
I'm doing fantastic, my friend. I think that these three episodes were great. I have a little nitpicks on some things, but all in all, man, I'm so stoked, and I can't wait to talk about it with you. Just to let you guys know, this is a spoiler episode, so we are going to be talking about spoilers. So if you haven't watched them, please go watch them before you watch this, or if you want to get your information from us, feel free to do that. But these are going to be spoilers. So, Gabriel, I'll hand it back to you, and let's get started, man.
Yes, sir. And like you said, this is a spoiler review. Again, if you haven't watched it, I so urge you, click away, go watch it, come back and check it out. So they kind of surprised us. I didn't know they were dropping 3 episodes. So up and I was on vacation all week, and I was like, about halfway through the week, I was like, holy crap. The Boys comes out this week. I know Obi-Wan's out. We got Miss Marvel coming next week. Got a lot of great stuff coming out. I knew The Boys was just around the corner, but I was like, oh my God, it comes out on Friday. And then Amazon graciously dropped the episodes a little bit early. And
you text me, you said,
I was like,
3
bro.
episodes. And I was like, oh yeah.
Oh, yes. If you couldn't tell, yes, we are a huge fan of The Boys. Season 1 and 2. I think season 2 just got even better, took it to higher heights, and just the show is just so good. It's so hard to explain. But yeah, for me, just a couple nitpicks just to go ahead and quickly get out of the way, because I think it's going to be a very short list. I actually have 2 things. One of them don't count. It's kind of like a oh kind of moment. The other one was definitely a nitpick for me, and I'm can't wait to hear her thoughts on this. But the first one I want to talk about is there was a moment with Frenchie in episode 3 where the story kind of shifted and it went to Frenchie several times, and we've seen his girlfriend from the first season, and or whoever that was, his colleague there, and gave her some passports, and you're like, okay, where is this going? Because I actually felt the story come to a halt. I love the Frenchie character. There's not a single character in here I do not like. Yeah, you're not supposed to like Homelander, but oh man, God, Anthony Starr does a fantastic job.
What a performance, man!
Oh, oh my God, and we'll talk about him in a minute for sure. But once it gets to that Frenchie moment where he's talking to that girl, and I can't remember anyone's names, but he's talking to her and giving her the passports. I'm like, I literally felt like the first episode flowed, right? Second episode flowed. Third episode, it gets to that moment and the story kind of halted, and I'm like, okay, get back to the Homelander going nuts part, right? Go back to
go to something else,
right? What are we doing here? Obviously, by the end of episode 3, it's obviously a segue into how to get the boys, Billy, Huey, Marvin, all them to Russia to find Soldier Boy, which again we'll talk about here in a second. So that was kind of the thing that hit me as like, oh, why is this story halting? Right. And then it just kind of jumps. And then by the end of the episode, you're like, gotcha.
And then they bring you back in.
They bring you back in like The Boys does. It's so good. Oh my God, so good. So that one really don't count as a negative. I'm just saying how it kind of hit me at first. The other thing I want to mention, and we'll delve back into probably here in a minute, is obviously by the end of season 2, or if you've known the comics, see, I don't. I know the general basis of the comics, but I'm not like the Boys, thespian when it comes to the source material. I have no idea. All I know is I love the show. And the comics are the comics, the show's the show, the movies are the movies, whatever. It's an adaptation, so it's going to be different.
Oh yeah,
and it's great. Obviously, they're going to take the superhuman. Souped up on V, or however they call it.
Yeah,
but so we knew that was coming, right? And we actually mentioned this in our trailer review, which you can find in the link down below. When The Boys season 3 trailer dropped, we actually talked a bit about Billy maybe even becoming the villain. I think we both agreed on that. We were like, what? How poetic would it be for season 1 and 2 to have Homelander, this character that's obviously the antagonist? What if they flip the script on us, right? Because Billy, he has a narrative purpose, for that character to hate Soups. And we've seen an episode, was it 3, where he just goes nuts on that guy, sharpshooter or whatever the crap his name was. He was very short-lived.
Bro, and that was dude from Boondock Saints. I didn't
Yes, it
realize
was.
until I was
Yes, it was.
like,
I was like,
man.
oh, okay, yeah. But my negative, to say all that, to say this, as much as we knew, we felt it coming, that, hey, these characters are going to be, probably taking the serum and all that kind of stuff. But when Billy all of a sudden shows up at the garage and he's already souped up, I'm not going to lie, I kind of felt a little, wait, we missed that part. It almost felt like we missed like 10 minutes of build up to that. I mean, maybe I'm stretching, maybe I'm being a little nitpicky here, but that's really my only real negative about the show so far, is when Billy, he has the vials, right? He's got the 3, he puts it in that little cookie jar thing and tries to hide it from Homelander when he comes to see him. And then next thing you know, we see him at the garage talking to that guy, and he's already souped up. Like, and it's like, I don't know. It kind of just, it felt a little jarring to me. It kind of felt like, oh, it kind of halted. And
then, there was a scene where he was taking it though.
Well, that was a dream. That was a dream, remember? Where he was sitting on the couch, he had the needle, and he was thinking about it, but we never see him actually take it. Yeah, and then he shows up in the garage, and
I guess that's them kind of being like, okay, well, this is how it's going to be whenever he does take it.
At least we're seeing the side effects of it, right? We're seeing the side effects of, oh, he's throwing up. He still has the glowy eyes. It lasts about 24 hours. We haven't really seen, us as an audience, we haven't seen what it does to an adult.
And that's one of those things that I think we talked about too, is what are these side effects? Because we both know, we're like, they can't take this and there not be, because they haven't tested it enough, and that's one of the things that the guy said. He was like, well, there are side effects. And it's like, oh, I can't wait to see this. You know what I mean? Well, and the other thing is like not everybody in these soups has the same power. You know what I'm saying? So like, what powers are people going to get whenever they do take it?
So here's my theory so far. They haven't really, unless I missed something, they haven't specifically said, again, unless I missed an important piece of dialogue, which they could literally cover this in one sentence. But from what I understand, up until watching these episodes, we've all been thinking, oh, because you and me have speculated before in that video talking about the season 3 trailers, ooh, how funny would it be? And it would be something the boys would do is have one of the main characters end up with a really stupid power, right? Like, but here, I'm gonna throw you a curveball here. What if, because we have the scene with the great Giancarlo Esposito, and that, oh God, he's so good. And then he's talking with that that colonel or senator or whatever he was, and he's basically selling those vials to him for the army. I think those vials are specifically just for super strength and laser eyes, basically creating a Homelander version 2, right?
Right.
So I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of, if that's the case, I'm gonna be a little bummed out. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But again, they haven't said. I mean, who knows? Huey can take it and he turns into a puddle of mashed potatoes. I don't know. I don't know.
But the thing is, like, if they're giving the specific ones to the military, what's the chances of somebody like taking that and splicing it like they do with drugs, basically, and making a variant of it where you can get different powers? Yeah. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, that could happen too. But I mean, and we're just speculating on things. But
like the first 3 episodes.
I would be I'd be bummed if it was just, if
everybody gets super strength. It seems
like,
kind of boring.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I mean, that's really my only real negative right now, is just that moment. It just felt a little jarring. But anyway, with all that stuff out of the way, let's get into the meat
Well,
and goodiness
let me tell you about
of this
my
show.
one negative that
Oh,
I
oh,
have.
okay. So you go. Okay.
Yeah, so my one negative that I do have, basically, they waited 3 episodes in order for us to actually see Soldier Boy. He was mentioned in all, episode 1, episode 2, and then finally in episode 3 you get the you know flashback glimpse of him. But for me, I'm like, man, like I wanted him to be from the get-go. Bang, like here you go, let's give you a backstory and then let's get to it. But I understand what they're trying to do. That's just my little nitpick. But for me, it's like, man, like let's speed this storyline along with him. Now, like we said with Frenchie and that whole thing, the boys bring you back. You know why they had him meeting with that Russian woman, and now you're like, oh,
Right.
okay, yeah, let's go to Russia. Let's get Soldier Boy out. Let's see what's up. You know what I mean?
I do. I mean, I can agree to that. I'm not as big of a Jensen Ackles fan, I guess, as most people. Obviously, most people know him from Supernatural,
Oh,
and
here
all
we
that kind
go.
of. And I'm not hating on Supernatural. I'm just saying that's where a
That
lot of
was one of
people
my
know.
favorite shows, man. I love it.
That's where a lot of people know him from. And
Yeah,
I mean, I can see where you're coming from. To me personally, that didn't bother me because he's obviously the centerpiece of this season, at least we think, according to the trailers. He's very heavily talked about and mentioned. I don't think he's coming up for a quick gag. I think he's going to be a pivotal part of this season. And who knows, man, but maybe by next week's episode, we'll be like, oh, okay, that makes sense, with
right,
whatever
right.
we're kind of a little dubious or skeptical about. Very corny, I know. But yeah, that I can definitely see that. I loved, by the way, I'm going to go in episode 1 a little bit because I feel like we should kind of
Yeah,
semi go a little bit in order.
let's
Um,
get into the meat of everything,
Oh,
my
get in the
friend.
meat of
Now we can
everything.
go.
So the with all that out of the way, so we get a little bit of the premiere episode kind of showing us, okay, here's where all the characters are at. It's been 12 months. Huey's still dating Starlight, or Anne, or is that her name? Annie. I
We'll just
can't.
call her Starlight. Come on, man.
We'll call
Like,
her Starlight. I'm so bad with the names. And they're still dating. He's still working for the superhero, Federal Bureau of Superhero Affairs, or however they're calling it. And we get a little bit of that girl that Huey works for. We're getting a little bit of, we find out that the revelation of she's the adopted Giancarlo Esposito's character. I think his name's Stan, adopted her.
Stan.
And
Hmm.
and you're like, what? And
And
because
then
at the
you're
end,
like, holy crap! Now I get it.
now it makes sense. And Huey's right. He says this line in episode 3 where he's talking to Starlight on the phone, and he's like, it's all connected. Like, we can't win. We got to fight dirty. He
Yeah,
said, I'm tired of losing.
Butcher's been right
Right.
all
He's
along.
been right
Like,
all
there's no way
along.
to
Right.
win.
And
Yeah,
I think episode 3 really propelled, and I think there was a reason they released the first 3 episodes, because I felt like by the end of episode 3 we're being sent straight in for the rest of the season. And I think they're going to propel us,
completely agree.
deep in. I think we're going to get Jensen Ackles very heavily moving forward. I think we'll get a lot
Mhm.
about Soldier Boy, and we'll talk about episode 3 here in a minute. But I really love that, we're getting a little bit more on that girl that Huey works for. That's interesting. That kind of makes you look at things a little bit different. That, Billy gets those vials. You got the new, what's his name? Sonic,
Supersonic. Hmm.
Supersonic coming in, just a jerk. Not gonna lie, this character's not doing anything for me. I don't think it's a negative. It's just,
I
I'm
don't
like,
think he's supposed to be honest
yeah,
with you.
I agree. I think Homelander's gonna get, dude. Let's talk about Homelander for a minute,
Okay.
dude. From episode 1, from when he first shows up on, the sheer Anthony Starr. I mean, I love Carl Urban.
Dude,
I do.
this dude
I
is a
but
brilliant actor
oh,
for this.
Mr.
He
Starr.
is he was
Oh,
so great. So great.
yeah.
His emotions from, you know, him being accused of, well, I mean not being accused, but being like portrayed in the media as a Nazi lover and blah 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 blah, and him trying to convince himself, oh, I made a wrong choice,
Mhm.
blah blah, blah, like, and saying all that, and then he's going to her bedside, and
Let's
she's
talk about
still
that for a
alive,
second. So
and I was like, she's still alive.
oh, I was
Like,
just about to ask that. I was literally just about to ask, was I the only one that thought she was dead?
oh
Because
no, I
in the
thought she was dead
show, well,
too.
because in the show, all the characters, like even the public was like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, she's alive. That's why it was breaking news that she committed suicide, right? So
Yeah,
I looked at my wife and I'm like, wait, what? We both thought she died. Maybe we missed something in the season 2 finale. That was, dude, it's been 2 years
yeah,
since season 2.
yeah,
A lot happens in 2 years. I
yeah,
haven't waited that long
bro,
for the next season since Game of Thrones, since the last,
yeah.
2 seasons there. But no, I kind of felt, I was a little taken aback because I was like, wait, I thought she died. But
Oh, I
no,
thought she did too, but
but I thought that was
man,
needed for Homelander's kind of,
mhm.
he's holding on. And once he's seen on the news, dude, where he's up there talking to that girl when
Oh,
she's
where
about to
he
commit
breaks
suicide,
and you can see
you
him
see
just
him
snap
break, but it's all
and
mentally.
break,
It's all
and you're
mentally,
just
dude.
like, yeah, and
Yeah.
you're just like, oh no. And
Oh
then
yeah.
for him to stand up there
Yeah.
and just give this speech that he does, and I know we're moving forward and blah blah blah, but we're
That's
talking about
fine.
Homelander
That's
here.
fine.
We're doing what we want. So for him to break and just go off and just say, you know what? I'm not fucking perfect. I'm not this, blah blah blah, and
Just
just go
owning
off
it. He's just owning
and
it.
owning himself,
And the,
that
yeah.
like sort of brings into
Yeah.
like reality for everybody, like in the real world, it's like, hey, people are more accepting of you to be yourself than they are if you're trying to be someone you're not, because
Right.
people can tell when if you're not somebody that you really are, you know what I mean? And
That's true.
that's a real life lesson, man. So of
It's
course,
certainly an
whenever that
allegory for,
happens, and he
yeah.
gets those ratings back, and they're like, dude, you're up 40 something percent or whatever she
And
said.
that just feeds
He's like,
into his ego. It
and
just
that,
feeds
yeah,
it.
and he just
Yeah.
fed into it. And
Yep.
then you start seeing the other side where he's like, they love me.
Yeah.
They fucking love me. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God. And he
Oh,
makes the deep, eat that
eat
squid. He's
Timothy.
like,
Poor Timothy.
he's like,
R.I.P.
he's begging for his
Timothy.
life.
He's big.
And it's like, well,
I
I was like, it was amazing. Like his
it's so good.
performance was so
From
good. And
beginning to
I,
end, dude. It's so good.
I just
So
think
good.
it's so great to see him and and now the dynamic that he has with Butcher, you know what I mean? And oh, dude, that scene where they're talking to each other and
Yep.
he's
I
like,
was just about to mention
we
that.
should do
Yep.
things together. It's like,
As they're insulting each other, but they're kind of
as they're
like,
insulting, yeah, dude, it was so
my
good.
favorite scene so far has been with Homelander so far. And
Mhm.
I could say my favorite scene of, or sequence, I should say, of the entire show so far is in season 1, which they brought up again in these first 3 episodes, is when they're on the plane. When Maeve is like, we got to save these people. And he's like, no, we don't. I'm Homelander. I can do whatever I want. That he says that a lot.
Oh yeah.
And that to me, like, I like The Boys up until that point. The plane scene, I was like, this is a really good show. I'm really digging it so far. It went from, this is my opinion on it, went from this is a good show to this is a great show. It's rivaling the Boys is better than, it's not saying much, but than the Disney Plus shows. You know how much I wax rhapsodic about WandaVision. You know how much I love
Oh no.
WandaVision. The
Oh
Boys
no.
is
Unfortunately.
way better than WandaVision. I
It's so
love
good.
WandaVision, but The Boys, and because it's good storytelling, and going
Mhm.
back to Homelander is they have that scene again, where Starlight's telling him, "Oh yeah, well I'm going to release the video." He's like, "Do it." Because
He's like, do it. I don't care.
I'll have nothing else to lose. Then I'll go kill the president. I'll go take out the White House. I'll go
And
take out
that
our
was
global
so
defense
good. That
system.
was, I'll
Yeah,
be honest with you,
yeah.
that was my favorite scene
It was
of
so good.
it was so good. Whenever she's
Brilliantly
like,
acted.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
release the video, and he goes, Go
Do it.
ahead. Then I'll
Do
have
it.
nothing to lose. And he just like his whole demeanor changes. Like you can see it come over his
Dude.
face. It was just like, and I'm, you know, whatever. It was just like whenever Obi-Wan found out that Anakin was still alive.
Yeah.
That's what it brought. I was like,
How
holy
the
crap,
actor
dude.
is able
He
to
just
portray.
his facial
Yeah.
emotions and everything. He was just like, go ahead. Then I'll have nothing to lose. And
Right.
then I'm gonna go do this, and this. And she's like,
Yeah.
okay, I've got to call somebody. Like,
Yeah. It's like,
he's
yeah.
losing his mind right now.
Yeah.
Like, you know what
I
I'm saying?
mean, and I told my wife during I think it was right after that scene, I was like, look, she could put up a fight against Homelander, but
Mhm.
he would kill her.
Yeah.
He would, I mean, she would probably get a couple good swings in and whatnot, but yeah, Homelander, dude, it's gonna be so. One of the main reasons I'm loving the show so far, or this season, I should say, is we have no idea what's happening next. I mean,
No idea.
this episode 1 opened with a guy shrunk to the pea hole size and went up a guy's dick.
I
Like,
was not ready for that. I'll attest to
he's
that.
like,
I knew what was going to happen
I was,
as soon as it happened, and I said, "This is this. I
yeah,
am not prepared for this. I
nope,
don't." And then, like, I was watching, I was like, "Oh," and I started hurting. I was like, "No, I'm good.
yeah,
I'm
it's
good on
like,
this."
and then he sneezes, and you just knew that was gonna happen. He's like,
Yeah.
and then-
And then
dude,
Frenchie, the great, and see the
yeah,
great part about the boys is there's so much drama and there's so much hilarity and humor,
it
bro. Like
the
throughout
levity,
all
yeah.
episodes, it's so like that was so funny. Frenchie walks in and goes, "I'm sorry." It just
Yeah,
walks
he's like,
like
no,
tries
no,
to
no, no,
walk
you
in.
get back here, and then he's like kicking his ass all
Yeah.
up and around the room. Oh my
And
god,
then
so
not to
good.
mention another part that I thought was like so funny. Oh god, was whenever like Butcher was having so much problems because he was coming off of that stuff.
Oh
And he was sitting there talking to him and he just throws up in his mouth. And he was sitting there, he's like just and it's a moment of silence for like literally like probably
yeah,
10 seconds, and then he goes, "What the fuck?" And
what?
then just goes to the next
That was
he goes to
such
the
a
next
Huey
scene.
thing to do, man, and like him throwing up, dude. This show is so good. It's obviously clear we are having such a good time with this series,
If you
and
can't tell, we really love this
we
show.
really love it. I
So
don't think we made it that clear. So good. I mean, and I'm trying to think. I mean, the show it has good. Let me try to word this right. A show or a movie, in this case, a show, it can be slow paced, but its cadence is what carries it through. What's the cadence
mhm.
like? Because if it's a Macy cadence, it doesn't matter if it's fast paced or slow paced. If the cadence is off, it's not going to go well for audiences. I know it's subjective and all that kind of stuff, but the first 3 episodes, man, they just started rolling. Now it did feel like it kind of halted a little bit with Frenchie, but by the end of the episode, like I said, they pull you back in.
I want to talk to you about one thing too. I love how they are what they're like. I don't know if you noticed, but if you look at A Train, um, and how they are, you know, how whenever Homelander's like, "Don't think I've not seen you,
Oh, dude,
eating blah blah blah," and then he
12
like coats
dozen
his stomach.
donuts or whatever. Yeah.
Dude, have you seen like they've got like a little fat suit on him to make
Yeah.
him look a
Hmm.
little bit bigger? I'm like, that's brilliant. Like that's show running at its best, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
The
You know what I
attention to
mean?
detail,
The,
this show,
the attention to
it,
detail to know that
yeah.
like he's not running like he used to. So he's gonna like but he's still having to eat what he used to because his metabolism's so high that he has to. But he's getting fatter because of that. And like if you
Yeah.
kill him if he runs too fast, like it's just I was like,
Well, we seen
man,
what
it's really
happened
no.
in the first scene of The Boys. We seen what happens with A Train, how, him getting a little
Hmm.
carried away on V, what that does. He
Hmm.
kills the main character's girlfriend.
Right.
My thought on A Train is, I'm glad you brought that up because up until, watching all 3 episodes back to back to back, and there's just so much information thrown at you. There's so much character
Mhm.
development and so many characters to keep up with. We've barely gotten any Maeve. I love Black Noir, and I want to talk about that flashback scene here in just a minute. But you got A Train, not seeing a lot of A Train, but when we're do seeing him, I thought the scene was okay, but again, maybe future episodes will maybe pan this out, but I don't think it's a negative. It's just, I just, I don't know. The scene where he's talking to his brother on the porch, like
Yeah.
that to
No,
me
I
didn't
agree.
propel. And I can't believe I forgot about that part because,
We're
there's
we're on
so
the
much,
same part. Well,
you, so
that's the
you,
whole thing.
there's so much
More
coming at you.
good
Right.
and so
Kind
much
of just overshadows.
better
Yeah.
than there's so much better than that storyline, to be honest, right now.
See,
And like
that's,
I
yeah.
love the A Train story and everything,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
like I like it's just not where I'm like, okay, cool. Like
Like,
let's get
like,
to
like
Starlight
I'm
and everything else.
well, I'm gonna compare A Train with the Deep. So with the Deep,
Hmm.
how they're bringing him back into the seven and all that kind of stuff. That's for narrative
Hmm.
purpose. That's pushing the narrative forward for,
Hmm.
because he has history with Starlight and how he
Right.
basically he raped her, and I know that's hard to touch on, but that did happen.
Hmm.
And so you have that.
He graped her. Yep.
He did. And you have that history there. That versus, parallel to A Train's arc or his little sub story or however you want to call it is I just didn't feel like that scene with him talking to, the scene with A Train and Homelander, that's pushing the narrative because Homelander's he's just
Hmm.
being a dick to everybody. But
Yeah.
when they're sitting on the porch with him and his brother, A Train and his brother, and you're like, how is this pushing the again? Maybe we watch episode 4 and be like, oh, okay, this is why this scene was needed. But to me, that
Hmm.
shouldn't matter. The scene that
Right.
it's going to hit us as it hits us, and maybe we'll change our minds in an episode or two. I don't know. Maybe they'll address it. I don't know. But as of right now, that scene did not propel the narrative at all. At least in my opinion. I mean, maybe it worked for other people, but for me, it's a good scene. It is. It was well acted. It was. I mean, it
I
was a
agree
good
too.
scene.
I'm
It
just saying,
just
like the attention to detail, like bring it back to where it was at, like
right.
the attention to detail where they like made him a little bit bigger. You know what I
That's
mean?
for narrative purpose
I
because
was like, that's
Homelander he
great. That is
knows
good.
right, right.
Hmm.
He's all about control, right? And
Hmm.
when he's passing A Train, he's like, "Hey, what you got there?" He's like, "Oh, is that kind of the cappuccino or whatever he had?" And he's like, "Oh, I see you got the
Right.
extra whipped cream." And he's like, "Don't you think I've been seeing you eat 12 dozen donuts in the break room or blah 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 blah?" And and to me, that something like that is pushing the narrative because Homelander is very control focused,
Hmm.
and it just goes back to the great performance of Anthony Starr, who
Hmm.
is just fantastic. And just like
It's
you
great,
mentioned,
man.
earlier the scene where he's up on the rooftop with that girl about to jump off, and he's talking to her, and then you see on the news that what's her name? Oh God, what's her name? Storm.
I don't
The
remember.
racist
It's
lady,
okay.
the Nazi lady.
Yeah. Nazi.
So many names. When she died or killed herself, Homelander, you mentioned it earlier, you could see it just click in his head. He didn't literally snap and like go nuts and kill a bunch of people, but you can see it in the way he acted out that scene.
Oh,
It
mentally,
clicked,
bro.
and
He
he was
was
like,
just like,
"I'm done.
yo. He was
I'm
like,
done."
I think you
Yeah,
should jump.
I think you should
He
jump.
was like, I don't care.
Just jump because he went up there fully prepared to save her. He went up there fully
Right.
prepared to be like,
You're he was like,
just
"You
come
can," he
down.
was like,
Yeah,
"Feel, you
yeah,
should feel, whatever because you're
yeah,
my birthday save for
yeah.
today."
He's like,
And
and it's
then you
heartbreaking.
figure out
Yeah,
and the greatest part is you figure out he's just like, once that clicks and everything, he's like, "You know what? Go ahead and jump." He
just
was
do
like,
it.
"This isn't even my birthday. This is some media ploy, blah, 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 blah." And you're just like, "Holy crap,
And that
man. Like,
reminds you
this
of
dude
all the
does
back.
not care."
No, and it reminds you of all the crap that Homelander's been through. He wasn't
Mhm.
just born; he was genetically created to be
And the thing
this
is,
godlike being. Yeah,
you're drawn at that moment to feel sorry for Homelander instead of being like,
and you
man,
kind
he's
of
an
do.
asshole.
You've
It's like,
yeah,
wow, I feel so bad for this guy because he's just like everything's crumbling down on him.
oh,
Now, by the, a little bit later, you're like, okay, don't like this guy, but you do because his
I mean,
performance is great.
you can feel
If you
sorry
don't
for,
like
yeah,
somebody,
right.
it's not because I love it whenever and I'm a wrestling fan, whatever. But whenever I watch wrestling, if I can't if they are heels and I can't get into your story, but if you grip me with I just want to knock you out every time you get in there, you're doing your job correctly.
Yeah.
And he's doing his job correctly. You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? If I don't like you, great. I know that's not you outside of this, but
Right.
in this character, you're doing a great job, and he's doing awesome.
He's
Now,
doing great.
let's go back to the Black Noir
Dude,
flashback. Dude.
that whole
Let's
flashback
bring it
scene.
back into that, and then
So episode 2, I mean, I liked episode 2. Again, I watched it so literally watched 3 straight hours, and there's just so much information. So we're kind of covering all in once. If we don't cover everything, Wes and I do apologize, and maybe everything will be a little more clear next week. At least we'll get one episode and be able to collect our thoughts a little better there. But I do want to talk about that flashback scene with oh God, Grace, because I think she's a great actress. I like that character a lot. And when Butcher's like, okay, tell us everything. You're going to tell us what happened in Nicaragua. You're going to tell us everything. And when she's kind of explaining all that to him, and she's like, look, okay, here's what happened. It gives you a lot of backstory on Black Noir, which is awesome.
Yeah,
You're like, oh,
bro.
okay, so that's why he don't talk. That's why he don't take off his mask. That's why blah, 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 blah. And you get backstory on Marvin's family getting killed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but was that his dad talking to Grace?
No. That was Stan. That was Stan. That was Juan Carlos.
Stan. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He did say,
yeah, that
okay,
was
now I
Stan
remember.
talking to whatever.
Oh, so there's a little tie in there.
But
I like that.
But I do think
I love the whole sequence, by the way.
But I see, now I'm gonna have to go back, because whenever he was talking to Black Noir, was he talking to him like his son, or was he talking to him like
again? I think there's a lot to
because
unpack.
maybe he adopted Black Noir too. You know what I'm saying? And that's why he's such a huge character. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again. This is something that's fresh on our minds, so I'm definitely gonna rewatch it before next week's.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So but that's really cool, because whenever he was like, Dad, I just want to, or I don't know if he said that. Anyway, he said, hey, I just don't want to wear the mask.
Yeah, don't want to wear the mask.
I don't want to wear it.
And he's like, okay. Yeah.
And then Stan was like, he was like, well, whenever you go, I forgot what he said. He was like, you're gonna want it.
Yeah.
And then you see, Grace go up beside him, and he's just got all this. It was great makeup. It was a great effects makeup job. It was awesome.
It looked
so
good.
Now I'm like, sweet. Now we know why he never takes it off and why he doesn't talk.
A little backstory on the characters. I'm really, really loving
after
this.
2 seasons of wondering why this cat doesn't talk or doesn't take his mask off. But
he's super cool.
We got it, so I'm cool.
He hasn't said a word until that episode. Didn't say a word, at least as far as I can recall. And I've really liked the Black Noir character. He's just so cool. So, so that's pretty much our thoughts. A little bit negative, a little bit of nitpicks. Overall, really loving the series so far. It's just so good. I can't believe the boys are back. Look, we got Wes, dude.
I do gotta say one thing.
Yeah,
I really do like Frenchie's the nonverbal Kamiko, I think is what her name is. I like her storyline and where it's going. Like whenever it opens up and you see her for the first time and she's singing, but it's not really her singing. It's the girl in the piano.
You brought up two things that I'm so glad. Again, God, there's so much to talk about.
Sorry, there's so much stuff, and we're trying to make this video not as long, so I apologize to you guys. But I just had to say something about her character too, because she's a big part of this.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I do have two things I'm gonna throw at you. Number one, you brought up probably one of the most emotional scenes, at least for me so far, is when they're at the carnival and Kimiko, we might be saying the name wrong, might be thinking
I
of someone
know. I
else,
think I
but
am.
the mute character, she's
Mhm.
talking, or she's not talking, she's observing those kids because she had that brother back in season 1, remember, that ultimately
Yeah.
died.
Mhm.
And she's looking at them and kind of wishing that was her life, because she's not just a normal person. She's not only a soup, but she's a trained assassin. Like, she was captured and trained to assassinate people. She was used as a weapon. And she was looking at those kids and being like, God, I wish I had that. And she didn't
Yeah.
say a single word. But again, the performance. So you brought up one thing, or you made me remember that one thing. So now I'm gonna bring up number 2. This is what I told my wife earlier, and she's kind of thinking the same thing. They're showing a lot of her being like, I don't like my powers. She just told, is it Brian or Homelander's kid, Brian, what's his name? I can't remember.
Doesn't
The
matter.
kid,
This kid.
his kid. She's talking to him. She's like, I don't like my powers. I wish I didn't have them. Wish I didn't have to use them. And that boy's
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, me too. Yada da. And the more they keep doing that, like, if it was just one scene, I would just brush it off. But 3 episodes in a row, they've showed her being really emotional
Mhm.
throughout at least these first
And
3 episodes.
asking Frenchie
Asking
if he just wants to leave,
philosophical, yeah,
and
like, let's just leave.
you know what I
Do
mean?
you think, and this is what I told my wife, and I'm gonna see what you think about this. I think she's gonna die this season. Not only die, I think it's gonna be a horrible death. I mean, that doesn't say a lot with the boys, because every death is pretty much horrible. You swim up in some guy's dick and
Hey,
grow up
well,
to full size.
whoa.
It's pretty horrible. So I do think she's a goner. I really do. I think she's gone. Do you think that they're showing this for a reason, or maybe am I overthinking that?
I
What's kind of your thought on that?
I think that they are showing this for a reason. I don't think that she's going to die, and that's my own opinion. But I think they're showing it for a big reason. To be honest
So
with you,
I'm
I
not the
think
only one
that
that
they
noticed that,
no,
because
no, no.
they
Yeah,
showed
yeah.
very prominently. I mean, like I said, if it was just one quick scene, I would have brushed it off and not think twice about it. I'd be like, oh, that was a good scene.
No, they're
But
playing
with the
into it, man,
carnival,
and
like you said, with
they're
her
playing into
talking
it.
to Frenchie,
But
being
I
like, oh,
don't
let's
think that
leave.
she's going to die. I think something's
Yeah.
going to happen. But I don't think that she's going to die because I don't think she can
You know
necessarily.
what? There was that scene where, remember in season 1, I think she just got mauled, and
Hmm.
Frenchie thought she died. We thought she died as the audience,
Yeah,
and then she
yeah,
just healed back up. So maybe she can't die, but maybe Homelander will find a way to rip her head off or something. I don't know.
maybe.
Homelander would probably be the only one that could kill her. But dude, I love that character,
I
and
love her character.
so
Funny,
good.
funny story. I laughed my butt off whenever she had to break Huey's arm
Oh my god,
to
such
make
a
it
funny
real. And
scene. Such a
and
funny scene.
who was it? Butcher or one
Yeah.
of them was like, no, 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 right here.
Oh, Marvin,
It's got to be a
he
clean.
hands her his
Marvel was like,
arm.
it's got to
Yeah.
be a clean
He's like,
break.
dude, I love the Marvin character so much. I think they started calling him Mother's Milk at first or whatever before we got his real name or whatever.
Right.
That is probably when he showed up, like, back with the team, because we first see him kind of, I guess his wife left him or whatever, and she's with that jerk.
Right.
I don't like him already. I have no reason to not like him. I just
I
don't like
know.
him. But
None of us do.
that but that Marvin character, I told my wife, I was like once he got back in with the boys, with the company, I was like, this is probably my favorite character. Like, Huey's great,
Mhm.
Butcher's great, Homelander's great, and all that kind of stuff. But Marvin might be my favorite character so far. But I don't know. That's just my general thoughts. But yeah, Wes, do you got any predictions? Maybe coming up right before the episode 4, we can do another prediction video. But do you have any quick thoughts? Maybe going in episode 4, that kind of where we're going in future
Yeah.
episodes.
Okay. So, I think in episode 4, like we said before, I think that it's going to be very heavily influenced by our Soldier Boy story. It kind of led up into that into season 3. I think that we're going to get a lot of backlash for what Butcher did. His son, or his son just wasn't very happy. Nobody was really happy. They were like, "Why are you working for him?" Even Marvin was kind of like just walking out on him. So I think we're going to get more of that. And I also think that we're going to get a lot more of a fantastic portrayal and everything from Homelander, bro. I think that it's going to be insane to see him
They
and
are
where he's at.
obviously setting up a Billy versus Homelander clash. I mean, they've been building
Oh,
that up since
and
season 1.
and I can't wait.
Yeah.
But are they? Because I don't know if Homelander is going to be the actual bad guy in this because
And we've talked about that before. We talked
because of
about
how over he is with his fans in the media.
he's over
He's not
Vi.
going to be considered. He's not going to be considered a villain
He's
in
over
their
Vi.
eyes.
Yeah. And he's completely done. Like him talking to Stan, how Stan just has him by the balls,
Yeah.
and when Homelander's like, no, we're going to do it this way. And Stan's like, she can do whatever she wants. And it's like, dude,
Yeah.
Stan.
But then at the
so
very
cool.
end, whenever, Homelander's like, I don't care. And
Oh, yeah. Yep.
so then so now Stan doesn't have him by the balls at all.
Not anymore,
So
no.
basically,
Nope.
he did what he wanted and said, hey, by the way, me and Starlight are in love. And you just see her go, what?
What? Yeah.
And then she has
So
to go
terrifying.
with it. She just has to go with it.
That's the only word that I can
Because
think
she
of.
knows,
Yeah.
she knows that he'll kill her.
Terrifying.
If not.
Terrifying. And she tells Huey, she's like, Homelander could kill me or even worse. And Huey's like, you just got to tough it out. You just got to ride it out. And I'm like,
Huey's like doing the phone like this, like,
yeah,
what am I doing?
Like, what am I doing? It's so stupid. Yeah, dude, I'm loving this. If y'all haven't told, or if you guys could not tell, we are loving this series so far. I love the boys. I've loved it ever since its debut.
Thumbs up, man. It was fantastic.
So we don't do scores here. Surprise, Wes. I surprised you with that one. We don't do scores. We just give a general yes or no. Yes, we liked it, or no, we didn't like it. I think point systems are kind of irrelevant. I think they're kind of dumb. I've never really went by. Man. Yeah, I just like, was it good or was it not good? We'll talk about
everybody has their
everybody's
own opinion.
different, right?
So
it's arbitrary.
But for me, it was great, man. I thought it was amazing.
Other than a couple little nitpicks, yeah, you're right. I think that other than those little bitty nitpicks, I think we're just off to a great start. I cannot wait to see Soldier Boy some more. I thought he was great. The little we seen him in, but like we've talked about several times already, we do believe that they're going to propel the season, coming in with episode 4, I think fully like Jensen Ackles, heavily focused. Because we got a lot of them. I mean, not a lot of them, but kind of building up to him in episode 3. And then I think episode 4, they're going to be in Russia. I think they're going to already be in Russia. And I think the episode will open and end with Soldier Boy. So I'm pretty excited. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a little trailer before then, and maybe we can do maybe prediction video or something like that. Only time will tell. We got about a week left. So look for our spoiler review next Friday evening. Dude, we got a busy couple months here. We got Obi-Wan, Miss Marvel coming up Wednesday. We got Obi-Wan and Marvel and Miss Marvel on the same day. We got the Miss Marvel premiere. We got The Boys on Friday. We got She-Hulk coming soon. We got the Lord of the Rings prequel coming out. We got so much goodness to talk about. But thank you guys. If you've watched this, I appreciate it. Me and Wes really appreciate you guys. We've had several subscribers over the past several days. Apologize.
We do very much.
Oh yeah, and we do apologize for the lack of videos the past week. Again, we were busy with vacation on that, but we are back in full force. Got some awesome videos gonna be coming out over the next week or so. So keep a watch for that. All right, Wes, where can people find you, my friend?
Everybody can find me on West Rathbone 86 on Twitter. Please hit us up, like, subscribe, and comment on anything that you guys may have thought that we missed, because I know we missed some things, but we tried to wrap up everything. So please comment and ask questions, and we'll try to get back to them as quick as possible.
Yes, sir. And again, and that brings up a good point. You can actually find us here at www.streamelements.com/theusualskeptics/tip if you want to just support the channel or submit a question or anything like that. Feel free to do so, and we can do a video on that. But with that, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much our thoughts on The Boys season 3 so far. We've got the first 3 episodes down. Can't wait to see episode 4. Super excited. Off to a great start. You can find me simply at Voice of Film on TikTok. Got some daily videos there. Got some entertainment news, kind of all that kind of good stuff. Just general quick thoughts about things on there. So go check that out. Had a small influx. Is that a thing? A influx of followers and all that kind of stuff over the past couple of days. So for that, I do appreciate. Again, Wes and I appreciate you all for joining us, and we will see y'all in the next video.
Bye, guys.